I had always dreamed of this day. The day my mate bond would reveal itself. The day my life would finally change for the better. For years, I had endured the whispers, the sneers, the way people in the Silverclaw pack looked at me like I was worthless. Omegas were supposed to be soft, submissive, easy to control. But somehow even among them, I was seen as weaker. Too quiet. Too fragile. Too me. But the mate bond was supposed to change everything. It was fate. It was destiny. Once I found my mate, I would finally be wanted. Chosen. Loved. Or so I believed. The entire pack had gathered in the clearing for my 18th birthday ceremony. The air smelled of pine and damp earth, but under it all was the thick, anxious scent of wolves waiting for the show. My heart raced so loud I thought everyone could hear it. My palms were clammy, and I tried not to fidget under the eyes staring at me. Avery Collins, the alpha announced from the front, his voice booming like thunder. Step forward. I did, legs shaky. The moonlight cut through the trees and lit the clearing, casting everything in silver. I tilted my chin up, trying to look confident even as nerves twisted in my stomach. And then, my eyes met his. The bond snapped into place instantly. My heart lurched in my chest, my whole body pulling toward him as if invisible strings tied us together. My vision tunneled, everything else fading except him. Caleb. My knees nearly gave out when I realized it. Caleb Riker, son of the Beta. Strong, tall, broad-shouldered, with sharp hazel eyes and a cruel smirk I'd seen too many times. He was every Omega's dream. Every parent's dream for their child. But he was mine. My mate. For one breathless moment, I thought maybe, just maybe, fate had seen me after all. Then Caleb laughed. Not the warm laugh of someone finding his other half. Not relief or joy. No, it was cruel, mocking. It sliced through me worse than claws ever could. You've got to be kidding me, he sneered, his voice carrying over the silent clearing. Him? The gods must be joking. The world tilted. Whispers rippled through the pack. My throat closed up, and I struggled to breathe. Caleb, I croaked, stepping forward, my hand trembling as I reached toward him. We're mates. Don't even say it, Caleb spat, shoving my hand away like it burned him. I reject you, Avery Collins. Right here, right now. I'd rather be unmated for life than stuck with a weak, pathetic Omega like you. The rejection hit me like a blade to the chest. White-hot pain ripped through my veins, tearing at the bond that had barely had a chance to form. My knees buckled, and I fell to the dirt, clutching my chest as if I could hold the pieces of my heart together. Gasps echoed around me, but no one stepped forward to help. Not one. Caleb's voice was the last thing I heard before darkness closed in. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. When I woke, I was in my room at the pack house. My face pressed against the rough sheets, and every bone in my body ached. My chest felt hollow, like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left nothing but pain. I stumbled to the mirror. The person staring back looked nothing like me. Pale, hollow-eyed, broken. I thought maybe someone would comfort me. My mother, my father, a friend. But no one came. No one knocked. Omegas weren't supposed to complain, especially rejected ones. That night, when I tried to eat in the dining hall, Caleb and his friends cornered me. Didn't you hear, Collins? One of them jeered. You're defective goods now. Caleb smirked, leaning close enough that his breath brushed my ear. You thought you could be my mate? You're nothing, Avery. Nothing but trash. The sting of his words cut deeper than the shove that sent me sprawling to the floor, my tray clattering. The laughter that followed rang in my ears. That was when I knew I couldn't stay. The forest was silent except for my ragged breathing. Branches clawed at my skin as I ran, my bag barely clinging to my shoulder. I didn't know where I was going, only that I had to leave. Every step was agony, the rejection bond still tearing me apart inside. My chest burned, and my vision blurred with tears I refused to let fall. I stumbled, scraped my knees, kept running. Please, I whispered to no one. Please, just let it stop hurting. But the universe was silent. Hours later, my legs gave out. I collapsed in the dirt, the damp earth cool beneath my cheek. My breaths came shallow and wheezing. My body wouldn't move anymore. Maybe it'd be better, I whispered, voice cracking. If I just didn't wake up. The darkness rushed in again. I expected nothing when my eyes fluttered open. No warmth. No comfort. Just more pain. But instead, I saw them. Two strangers hovering over me. No, not strangers. Their scents hit me like lightning, rich and overwhelming, filling every corner of me. My chest clenched, but not with pain, with something else. Recognition. Mates. Both of them. The first had midnight black hair, sharp features, and an aura so commanding I instinctively wanted to shrink back. Yet his eyes softened when they landed on me, protective fire burning in their depths. The second was different, lighter brown hair, kind eyes, his touch gentle as he brushed dirt from my face. His aura was calmer, warmer, but no less powerful. Two alphas. I blinked, too weak to speak, confusion swirling with fear. My mind screamed it was impossible. A wolf only got one mate. One. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. Don't move, the dark-haired one said, his voice low and steady. You're safe now. The other gave me a small smile, his hand soothing against mine. We've got you. We're not letting you go. And for the first time since my world shattered, I felt a flicker of something I thought I'd lost forever. Hope. When I woke again, it wasn't to dirt beneath my cheek or the biting cold of the forest floor. It was to warmth. Soft blankets cocooned me, and for a moment, I thought I was dreaming. My body didn't ache as sharply as before, though the rejection pain still pulsed faintly, like a ghost refusing to let me forget. The room smelled rich, like cedarwood and spice, threaded with something calming, like warm vanilla and fresh rain. Scents that pulled at the mate bond inside me, tugging at the empty, bleeding part of my soul. I blinked, my eyes adjusting to the golden light filtering through the curtains. And then I saw him, the dark-haired alpha from before. He was sitting in a chair beside the bed, arms folded, but his posture was tense, like a predator on guard. His sharp jawline caught the light, his lips pressed into a firm line as his gaze flicked to me. You're awake, he said softly, relief flickering across his features for just a moment. My throat was dry, my voice barely a rasp. Where am I? Before he could answer, the door creaked open, and the second alpha entered. His presence shifted the air immediately, gentler, lighter. He carried a tray in his hands, steam rising from a bowl of soup. You're safe, he said warmly, setting the tray on the table. We found you in the forest. You nearly didn't make it. My lips parted, but no words came. Safe. That word felt foreign on my tongue. Safety wasn't something I knew. The darker alpha stood, crossing the room with a grace that was both intimidating and mesmerizing. I'm Darius, he said, his voice like steel and velvet all at once. This is Elias. Elias, the kinder one, smiled, his brown eyes crinkling at the corners. And you are? I hesitated, clutching the blanket tighter around me as if it could shield me from the weight of their gazes. Avery, I whispered. Their eyes softened, and I swore I saw something flicker in them. Recognition. Claim. The mate bond pulsing like a tether between us. Two of them. I swallowed hard, my pulse hammering in my throat. It didn't make sense. It wasn't supposed to happen. Wolves only ever had one mate. One bond. One destiny. Yet my soul recognized both of them, their scents filling the hollowed cracks Caleb's rejection had left. My voice cracked. I don't understand. Elias crouched down beside the bed, his touch feather-light as he adjusted the blanket around my shoulders. You don't have to. Not right now. Just focus on healing. Darius, however, was less gentle. He leaned forward, his piercing gaze locking onto mine. Who hurt you? The question sliced through me like a blade. My lips trembled, but I couldn't speak. The memory of Caleb's sneer, his words, the pack's laughter, it all clawed its way back, choking me. My chest tightened, and the familiar panic rose, making it hard to breathe. Elias noticed immediately. He touched Darius's arm, shaking his head slightly. Easy. You're scaring him. Darius's jaw clenched, but he stepped back, folding his arms again. His silence was heavy, but I saw it, anger simmering just beneath the surface. Not at me, but for me. I'd never had anyone angry for me before. Drink, Elias coaxed, lifting the bowl of soup. Slowly. It'll help. My hands shook as I took the spoon, but the warmth of the broth eased something inside me. They both watched me, Elias with patient encouragement, Darius with quiet intensity. It should have been suffocating, but instead, it felt grounding. Like they were anchoring me to the present instead of the pain clawing at my past. When I finally set the bowl down, exhaustion pulled at me again. My body still weak, my heart still raw. Rest, Darius said firmly, his voice leaving no room for argument. We'll keep watch. And for the first time in years, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, I could. Days bled together in a haze of healing. My body slowly regained strength, but my heart, that was a different matter. I caught myself watching them when I thought they weren't looking. Darius moved with sharp precision, every step calculated, every glance like a command. He was an alpha in every sense, power radiating from him, but always directed outward, never against me. He spoke little, but when he did, his words carried weight. Elias was his opposite. His laughter filled the cabin, warm and unguarded. He teased me gently when I pouted over bitter herbs, told me stories by the fire when nightmares threatened to swallow me whole. His presence was like sunlight through storm clouds, gentle but impossible to ignore. Together, they balanced each other. Fire and calm, shadows and light. And I was caught between them, torn but tethered, like fate had woven the three of us into a knot that couldn't be undone. Yet guilt gnawed at me. One evening, as Elias helped me to the porch to breathe the crisp forest air, I finally whispered the truth. I already had a mate. His hand stilled. He didn't speak, waiting, letting me find the words. He rejected me, I said, the confession ripping out like broken glass. He said I was pathetic, worthless. And the whole pack, they laughed. I ran, because staying hurt more than dying. Silence. For a heartbeat, I thought Elias would pity me. But instead, his eyes burned with something else. Fury. Whoever he is, Elias said softly, his voice trembling with restrained rage. He's a fool. The door creaked behind us, and Darius stepped out. His expression was unreadable, but the tension in his jaw told me he'd heard every word. You are not worthless, he said firmly, each syllable a vow. And anyone who says otherwise will answer to me. My breath caught, my throat thick with emotion I didn't understand. I wasn't used to anyone standing up for me. Not like this. Not with such conviction. The bond between us pulsed stronger that night. My heart ached, not from rejection, but from something new. Something terrifying. Something that felt a lot like longing. But the path to healing wasn't smooth. Some nights, the nightmares still came. Caleb's laughter echoing in my skull, his words replaying until I believed them all over again. On those nights, I woke screaming, drenched in sweat, clawing at my chest. And every time they were there. Elias would sit on the bed, pulling me against his chest, rocking me until the panic ebbed. His warmth seeped into my bones, his voice a constant whisper of comfort. Darius stood guard by the door, his presence like an unshakable wall. He never said much, but his eyes told me everything. No one will ever touch you again. One night, as Elias rubbed soothing circles on my back, I whispered into the dark. Why are you doing this? You don't even know me. Elias pressed his forehead against mine, his voice steady. Because we do. Maybe not the details. But our souls know you. That's enough. Darius added quietly from the doorway. Fate doesn't make mistakes. If it bound us to you, there's a reason. And I, for one, will never reject it. Tears stung my eyes. For the first time in my life, I wasn't being told I was weak. I wasn't being mocked, discarded, or left behind. I was being chosen. Not by one mate, but by two. And though my heart was still fractured, their presence began to stitch it back together, thread by thread, bond by bond. I wasn't healed yet. Not fully. But for the first time since my world had shattered, I let myself believe that maybe I could be. Because with them, Darius and Elias, I wasn't broken. I was becoming whole. By the time my body was strong enough to move freely, weeks had passed. My wounds had healed, my skin no longer marred by bruises, but the scars inside were far deeper. Yet Darius and Elias were relentless in their patience. Darius trained me, though never cruelly. He pushed me, correcting my stance, teaching me to defend myself. You don't need to be the strongest, he'd say, circling me in the clearing, his eyes sharp. You just need to know you can fight back. His voice carried weight, but when his hand brushed mine to adjust my grip, a spark ran through me. His touch was fire. Dangerous. Addictive. Elias was different. He cared for the quieter pieces of me. He noticed when my hands shook too much to hold a cup. He told me jokes when I was lost in my thoughts, his laughter chasing away the shadows. His touch wasn't fire, it was sunlight. Warmth that seeped deep, making me ache with a longing I couldn't name. With both of them, I was safe. Wanted. But fate was cruel. The world outside our little cabin hadn't forgotten me. One evening, Elias returned from a supply run to the nearby packed town, his usual bright expression clouded. He set the bags down with more force than necessary, his jaw tight. What happened? I asked, nervousness creeping up my spine. They're talking, Elias muttered, pacing. The packs. About you. About us. Darius, who had been sharpening his blade by the fire, stilled. His gaze darkened. What kind of talk? Elias's eyes flicked to me, then away. They think it's unnatural. That Avery's cursed. That no wolf should have two mates. The words hit like a slap. My chest hollowed, the old shame rising again like bile. I wasn't enough for one mate, and now, even fate's mercy was twisted into something monstrous in the eyes of others. They're jealous, Darius said flatly, standing. His presence filled the room like a storm. Two alphas claim him, and they can't stand it. That's all this is. But I wasn't so sure. Packs thrived on tradition, on order, and what I represented was chaos. A broken wolf who shouldn't have survived, tied to two alphas. What if they're right? The words slipped out before I could stop them. What if I'm wrong? What if I'm? Elias grabbed my face gently, forcing my gaze to meet his. His brown eyes burned with fierce tenderness. Don't you dare say you're wrong. You're ours. That's all that matters. Darius stepped closer, his voice low but unyielding. Let them talk. Let them rage. They won't touch you. Not while we breathe. The conviction in their voices was unshakable. Still, doubt clung to me like a shadow. The whispers became reality sooner than I expected. We were in town together, gathering supplies. I stayed close to Elias, comforted by the warmth of his hand brushing mine as we walked. Darius flanked the other side, his watchful gaze daring anyone to come too close. But eyes followed us. Conversations hushed as we passed. Wolves stared, some with curiosity, others with open hostility. Then a voice cut through the air. Freak. I froze. A group of young wolves stood by the market stalls, their sneers sharp. Can't even keep one mate, huh? Have to steal two alphas to make up for being pathetic. Heat rushed to my face, shame burning my skin. My stomach twisted, and before I could move, Darius was in front of me, his growl rumbling low and dangerous. Say that again, he snarled, his aura flaring so intensely the crowd stepped back instinctively. The wolf smirked, but I saw the fear in his eyes. Everyone's talking about it. A broken little Omega with two mates? It's disgusting. Elias's hand slid into mine, grounding me. His voice, usually warm, was edged with steel. Careful. You have no idea who you're insulting. The wolf spat on the ground. He's no one. Just trash with lucky bonds. The words were knives. Sharp, precise, hitting every wound I thought had begun to heal. I wanted to disappear, to fold into nothing. But then Darius moved. One step, and the wolf's bravado cracked, retreating under the alpha's lethal glare. He's ours, Darius said, his voice low but deadly. And if you, or anyone else, ever forget that, you won't live to regret it. The air was suffocating with his dominance, the other wolves shrinking back. Silence fell, broken only by the pounding of my own heart. When Darius finally turned back to me, his eyes softened slightly, but his jaw was still tight. Elias squeezed my hand, guiding me away from the crowd, but the damage was done. No matter how fiercely they defended me, I knew the truth. To the world, I was broken. Wrong. But to them, I was everything. That night, I couldn't sleep. The words echoed in my head, louder than the fire crackling in the hearth. I slipped outside, the cold air biting my skin, needing space to breathe. I didn't hear them until they were beside me. First Elias, then Darius. Always together. You shouldn't be out here alone, Darius said quietly. Not as a command, but as a truth. Elias draped a blanket over my shoulders, sitting beside me on the porch steps. Talk to us, Avery. Please. My throat tightened. The words felt too heavy, but I forced them out. What if they're right? What if I'm cursed? What if I don't deserve either of you? Silence. Then Elias reached out, cupping my cheek, his thumb brushing away the tears I hadn't realized had fallen. Listen to me. You're not cursed. You're chosen. By fate. By us. And nothing anyone says can change that. Darius crouched in front of me, his intense eyes locking onto mine. Deserve has nothing to do with it. The bond chose you. We choose you. Every day. And we won't stop. My chest ached, torn between disbelief and hope. Their conviction was a force I couldn't resist, pulling me back from the edge every time I stumbled. Without thinking, I whispered, "Why me?" Elias smiled softly, leaning closer. "Because you're ours." And then his lips brushed mine. Gentle, hesitant, but filled with warmth that melted the ice inside me. My breath caught, the world narrowing to that single, stolen kiss. When he pulled back, my heart raced so hard it hurt. Darius's hand touched my chin, tilting my face to him. His kiss was different. Hungry, possessive, a fire that burned through every doubt. When he finally released me, his forehead pressed against mine, his voice was a growl. "You'll never doubt us again." Tears blurred my vision, but for once, they weren't from pain. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just surviving. I was wanted. Fiercely. Unconditionally. The world could call me cursed. Broken. A freak. But with Darius and Elias by my side, I finally understood the truth. I wasn't cursed. I was loved. And I would never be alone again. The air was heavy that night, as if the forest itself knew something was coming. The shadows pressed close, the silence unnatural. Darius and Elias moved restlessly around the cabin, both sensing danger I couldn't yet name. I should have trusted my instincts, because when the knock came, it wasn't gentle. It was sharp, demanding his knock. My blood froze. "Caleb." The door creaked open before I could breathe, and there he stood. My ex-mate, the one who had broken me, who had left scars no amount of healing could erase. He hadn't changed, still tall, broad, and handsome in the cruel way of wolves who wore their arrogance like a crown. But his eyes, those cold blue eyes, still made my stomach twist. "Avery," he drawled, as if speaking to a possession he'd misplaced. "You look better than the last time I saw you." Elias moved instantly, stepping between us, his aura bristling. "Get out." Darius was already circling, his hand on the hilt of the blade he always carried, his stare promising blood. "You've got 5 seconds." But Caleb only smirked. "Relax. I didn't come to fight. Not yet." His gaze slid past them, pinning me where I stood, trembling. "I came to remind him of what he owes me." My throat closed. "I don't owe you anything." "Oh, but you do." His smile was razor-sharp. "You think you can just run off, let 2 alphas claim you, and there are no consequences? The packs won't stand for it. You're mine, Avery. You always will be. Unless—" the pause stretched, suffocating. "Unless you come back to me. Quietly. Willingly. Do that, and maybe I'll keep your dirty little secret hidden." My breath caught. "What secret?" Caleb leaned against the doorframe, looking far too comfortable. "About your father. About why your old pack really cast you out. You think Darius and Elias will still want you when they find out the truth." Shame burned hot in my chest. My father, my first abuser, had been exiled for crimes he committed, but in the whispers of the packs, I had always been branded guilty by blood. "No," I whispered, horror prickling my skin. Elias's hand was suddenly in mine, steady and warm. His voice was sharp with fury. "We don't care what lies you're trying to spin." Darius's growl was pure violence. "You've got one chance to walk away, Caleb. Take it." But Caleb's eyes gleamed with the thrill of control. He wanted this. Wanted me small, trembling, broken again. And for one terrifying moment, I felt myself slipping back. Into the fear. Into the chains. Then I felt it, the bond. Darius's rage pulsing through me, fierce and protective. Elias's warmth wrapping around me, a shield of love. They were my anchor. My strength. I straightened, lifting my chin, my voice shaking but clear. "No, Caleb. You don't own me. Not anymore. And whatever my father did, it's not me. I won't let you use his sins to chain me again." For the first time, his smirk faltered. "Get out," I said louder now. "Before they tear you apart." His gaze snapped to Darius, who had moved like a predator ready to strike, and then to Elias, whose eyes blazed with a dangerous light I'd never seen before. For all his arrogance, Caleb wasn't a fool. He stepped back, his face twisting with venom. "This isn't over," he spat. "You'll regret choosing them." Then he was gone, swallowed by the night. The silence afterward was deafening. My knees buckled, and Elias caught me instantly, wrapping his arms around me as if shielding me from the memory itself. "You're safe," he whispered fiercely. "He can't hurt you anymore." Darius crouched in front of me, his hand cupping the back of my neck, grounding me. "You did it," he said softly, pride lacing his voice. "You stood up to him." Tears spilled, hot and unrelenting, but they weren't just from fear. They were from release. From finally breaking the last chain he had on me. For the first time, I wasn't Caleb's victim. I was Avery. Strong. Chosen. Loved. Days passed, but the threat lingered. Caleb's words spread, twisted into rumors meant to poison the packs against us. Wolves whispered that I carried my father's sins in my blood, that I was dangerous, cursed. The council demanded a hearing. A chance to decide if my bond with Darius and Elias would be recognized or destroyed. The night before, I sat between them in the cabin, fear coiling tight in my stomach. What if they tear us apart? I whispered. They won't, Darius said firmly, pulling me against his chest. And even if they try, we won't let them. Elias kissed the top of my head, his voice gentle but unyielding. We'll fight for you, Avery. Always. Their certainty was a shield I clung to as we entered the council hall. The room was filled with wolves from every pack, their eyes sharp, their whispers heavy. At the center, the council leader's voice rang out. You stand accused of tainting the sacred bond, Avery. 2 alphas cannot share a mate. It is an affront to our laws. My heart pounded. The words were chains, trying to bind me all over again. But before I could falter, Elias stepped forward. His voice was calm but rang with power. Fate chose him for both of us. Who are you to deny what even the moon goddess decreed? Darius's voice followed, rough and commanding. He is ours. And if anyone tries to take him, they'll pay in blood. The council murmured, unsettled. Then Caleb's voice rose from the crowd, dripping with venom. He's weak. Broken. His bloodline is corrupted. You'll doom us all by letting him remain. The words ignited something inside me. For too long, I had let others speak for me, define me. But no longer. I stepped forward, my voice trembling but strong enough to carry. I am not my father's sins. I am not Caleb's victim. I am Avery. I survived what should have killed me. And I was given 2 mates, not as a curse, but as proof that I am worthy of love. You may call it unnatural. I call it fate. The hall fell silent. Eyes widened. Whispers shifted. For the first time, I wasn't invisible. I wasn't broken. I was seen. The council leader rose slowly, his expression unreadable. Then he nodded. The bond stands. Relief crashed through me, my knees weak. Elias's arm wrapped around me instantly, his lips pressing to my temple. Darius's hand gripped mine, strong and sure. We had won. That night, under the moon's silver light, we stood together outside the cabin. Darius on one side, Elias on the other, both holding me close. You're ours, Darius murmured, his lips brushing my neck. Ours forever, Elias added, kissing my cheek softly. And for the first time in my life, I believed it. Abused. Broken. Rejected. But finally saved. By my 2 alphas. By love that chose me, even when the world didn't. By a bond that nothing, no past, no whispers, no fear, could ever break.